I didn't get rid of my guitar pedals because they were bad. I got rid of them because they were getting in the way of playing. So when I first started playing guitar, I had a very simple setup. I started to play on an acoustic, and after about a year, moved on to electric. Somebody gave me an amplifier. I didn't know at the time, but it was actually a bass amplifier. And I used that for about a year, and it was very, very simple. It was just, there was EQ, and that was it. There was nothing else. And I didn't use any pedals, I didn't use anything else. I just went literally straight from my guitar into the amp. Which, I think actually that was a benefit, because it really, you can really hear your mistakes when you go clean into an amp. And you know, even basic things like when you're trying to play an F chord and you can't hold it down hard enough, and things like that are really noticeable. After a while, somebody gave me a pedal. It was a heavy distortion pedal, proper metal pedal. But I found if I could tweak. It's only had 2 knobs on it, but if you could tweak them, it sounded okay. Actually, it wasn't too distorted. But it was great because I could go from clean to distorted. So that was brilliant. Loved it. Now, inevitably, one pedal turns into more pedals. It was a great setup because you could. There was a mix of reverb and chorus and distortion, and I think there was a wah pedal in there at one time. So a great variation. Where it started to become a problem was just because of the amount of pedals that I felt I needed. So I think I had 8 on a pedal board. It was all quite neat. It was, you know, you get the little patch leads to connect everything together, and it came in a case. So I'd practice at home and then put the thing in the case, hope everything was still connected and set up as it was when I got to the gig. And then normally it was a case of just plugging it in and you were okay. But there was a couple of gigs where I had technical problems. So I distinctly remember one where one of the patch leads had come out, not enough to notice, but just slightly come out of the socket. And of course, nothing came out the amp, and I was faffing around, pressing buttons and swearing a lot and trying to, you know, playing all the knobs on my guitar and twisting things, and nothing would happen. And I eventually found it. By then, obviously, the rest of the band were giving me evil eyes. It was all a bit stressful, and that was a bit of a concern. And also, when you get to rehearsal, you feel like I need to get there early because I need to set everything up and get everything ready and make sure it's all right. And that was, I used to think, well, I want to be playing. I don't really want to be my own roadie sort of thing. You know, I don't mind doing it, but there's only so many hours in the day, and I'd much rather spend those times playing. So I decided I needed to cut my options down. Obviously, your sound is important, but it's not more important than the playing, and I'd rather be playing. So I thought to myself, I had a bit of a break from playing, and I came back to it and thought, right, what do I actually need? Now I've got a bit of time to think about it. I'm in a covers band at the moment, and you quite a lot of different sounds, quite varied sounds as well. So I thought, well, what is the best way to do this? I didn't want a pedal board again. The amount of options for multi-effects pedals, it was a bit overwhelming, to be honest, and they felt a little bit complicated. Felt a little bit, the learning curve to try and set them all up seemed a bit steep to me. I'm not against pedals. Pedals are great. Sometimes, some players can't do without them, and there are times where it's just what you need. This is just about how I play, basically, and what I found works for me, really. So this is what replaced it, and to me I think this is the way to go for me, because there's no more stress, there's no more pedals, there's very little connections, and I get as many sounds as I need. I'm not anti-pedal, I'm not against pedals. They've got the place, and there's situations where it's probably the easiest thing to do. But in the name of simplifying things and bringing the joy back to playing, really, because it's you can spend hours. I can spend hours here playing my guitar on my own, and it's great. But you want to sort of go out into the world and play with other musicians and play to people and that kind of thing, and it can get complicated and a bit stressful when things go wrong, but they do have some limitations. But the sounds you can get out of something like this, I think they're pretty good. So yeah, I think I've simplified, and I'm fairly happy with where I am now.